Now at 6, Washington State's homelessness rate continues to rise and is now among the highest in the country. This is according to a new study just released today by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Yeah, the surge comes despite the fact that billions of dollars have been spent in the past decade to reduce the trend. KOMO senior reporter Chris Daniels has looked through the lengthy report and talked to experts. He now joins us live with more tonight. Chris?
Yeah, Hannah, some good news. The number of homeless veterans across the country has dropped, and in Washington State, the number of homeless youths are also on the decline. But otherwise, every metric is pointed in the wrong direction. On a dreary day, when tents don't dot the landscape like years before, Sarah Rankin says the visuals don't paint a full picture.
But the bulk of the iceberg is not visible to folks.
The Seattle U professor is the founder and director of the Homeless Rights Advocacy Project.
We know that the single most reliable predictor of homelessness is the cost of housing, and we've been suffering from a major housing affordability crisis in Washington and throughout the country. So the spigot is constantly turning up.
The HUD annual assessment now estimates there are more than 771,000 homeless people in America on a given night, up 18% in a year. And Washington has a higher percentage than most states. According to HUD, that's because there's been a 35% increase in Washington State of people experiencing homelessness since 2007. And while there has been success with reducing youth homelessness, Washington State is number one in the largest change in chronic homelessness of any state in the country, up almost 56% in a year and 360% since 2007, according to HUD. And that's after billions of dollars have been spent here to build out housing, services, and treatment, and the creation of the King County Regional Homelessness Authority that infrequently updates its own website since naming a new CEO in August. How has there been a good return on the investment?
What we know is that there are more people entering homelessness for the first time than ever.
Rankin suggests there has been progress here too, noting the numbers involving veterans and youth, but says there will be no quick fix for an issue now more than a decade in the making. Of course, we have heard many voices in King County in particular that believe that this is a fentanyl and addiction crisis that has complicated homelessness across not only this county but throughout the state. Rankin says that she believes there will be more detail in a new state report from the State Department of Commerce that will be released in January, which will highlight some of the strengths and weaknesses right now in the current system in Washington State. For now, live in Seattle, I'm Chris Daniels, KOMO News.
Earlier this year, the King County Regional Homelessness Authority released the results of its biannual point-in-time count. It found on any given night there are 16,385 people experiencing homelessness within the county. That's an increase of 23% from the 2022 count. Of that overall total, about 9,800 people were considered unsheltered. The count was conducted over a 12-day period in late January and early February. Stay with KOMO News for continuing coverage of the homelessness and addiction crisis through our Project Seattle reports. We're committed to letting you know what's getting better and what's getting worse and what elected leaders are doing about it. If you have a tip or a story idea, call 206-404-4732. You can also email projectseattle@komonews.com.